Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm here. I don't know if you are yet, but we're going to start things going here pretty soon. You're very welcome to this leg of my world tour of my house right now. Going very well so far. A lot of sold out shows. But this show is called A Century of Hits, and what that means is it's a hit from every decade in the century. Because a lot of these songs are the songs that have influenced me over the years, regardless of what time period. They were either sort of songs I grew up with, or I just heard sort of in the ether, or else there were songs that as I got older and I was watching the TV and stuff in the 80s and 90s, these are the songs that sort of influenced me. So this first one is one that I've always kind of known. I don't know why, but I've always kind of known it. And you probably know it too. When I went to actually learn it though, the version that I found that I really liked was by Leon Redbone. Of course, I'd love to hear you singing along. Just send me your vibes. I'm sure it'll come across. And as the comments come in, I'm on my phone here, so it's too small for me to read. So I'm not being rude. I'm just gonna, do my thing. Anyway, here we go. This is from 1908. It was first launched as part of the Ziegfeld Follies show in that year. And it's kind of been a hit for a number of people ever since. Oh, the night was very dark, so you could hardly see, because the moon refused to shine. Couple there under the willow tree, for love they did pine. She was getting kinda scared of the dark. She said, you know, I have to go. And he just gave a sigh, looked up to the sky, told the moon his tale of woe. Shine on, Iris moon, up in the sky. I had no loving since January, February, June or July. Snow time, well that's no time to spoon or be outside. So shine on, Iris moon, for me and my girl. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, February, June or July. It's no time to stay outside and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my girl. No time to stay outside and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my girl. There it is, shine on, harvest moon. I hope you liked it. Hope you were singing along there. I hope you were anyway. We're going to move into the teens now though, straight away. It's another song that was a hit for a lot of people. In fact, I think another one that I've always kind of known, but I remember the first time sort of seeing it on TV was Dave Lee Roth, who covered it, as did Louis Prima many years before. And Marty Feldman the great comedian, did a kind of a little bit of a reference to it in Young Frankenstein, which was hilarious. But version I'm going to play is the version that I went and sought after, and it was Bessie Smith who had a hit with it in the year 1919. And Bessie was like through the 20s, she was still on the rise in the teens, but through the 20s she was like a superstar, a hard living, hard drinking, hard partying, hard working, and hard singing lady who took no prisoners, a real powerhouse, a real trooper. Anyway, this is one that, as far as I know, she released or had a hit with in 1919. It's called I Ain't Got Nobody. Going round, and I do believe it's true. It's hard to love someone if that someone don't love you. I once had a good man, the best in town, but now he's gone and left me. I'm sad and lonely, he left me down. Nobody cares for me. Oh, I said I'm so sad and lonely. Won't somebody take a chance on me? 'Cause I'll sing all those sweet songs into the night. If only you're gonna be a pal of mine. Yeah, I got nobody. Nobody cares for me. Yeah, I'll sing all those good songs all day and night. If you will only be a pal of mine. Yeah, I ain't got nobody. Nobody cares for me. Nobody cares for me. Nobody cares for me. Bessie Smith, I Ain't Got Nobody. Let's move on into the 20s. And I think it was in 1929 that Fats Waller first had the hit with this. And this is another one that's been so popular over the years. The first time I heard it was from a great singer from Cork. I think he might have been from Cove or Cork City, I can't remember. He's still around. A guy called Freddie White. Fantastic performer. And he made a live album released in 1979. And he was one guy on a guitar. But the stuff that was on there that was just unbelievable. He did like a Frank Zappa song. And it's the first time I heard Fats Waller, or a Fats Waller too, and it's the first time I heard Hoagie Carmichael was on that record. It was the first time I heard Guy Clark, I think. Of course I was pretty young at the time anyway. But Freddie opened up an awful lot of music for me, and he's still out there somewhere. You Google him, he's around. And turned me on to Fats Waller completely, and I started checking out other Fats Waller stuff. And this is one that's kind of stood the test of time for me. I've been playing it for years. And normally when I'm playing live, I ask the audience to find their inner trombone or trumpet and maybe take a solo somewhere in the middle. I might do that myself. I have a trumpet deep inside me somewhere. I'm a trumpet player trapped in the guitar player's body. Anyway. All by myself, no one to walk with. I'm happy on the show. Ain't misbehaved, saving my love for you. I don't go out late, I don't care to go. I'm home about 8, it's just me and my ring. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. I'm like Jack Horner in the corner. I don't go nowhere, but what do I care? 'Cause your kisses are worth waiting for. Oh, believe me, honey, I'm home about 8, I don't care to go. I don't stay out late, it's just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. This one's for you, Freddie. Join me this time. I'm doing some guitar. Jack Horner, I'm in the corner. I don't go nowhere, but what do I care? 'Cause your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me, honey, I don't go out late, I don't care to go. I'm home about 8, it's just me and my radio. When misbehaving, saving my love for you. Ain't misbehaving, there it is, Ain't Misbehaving. I think I might do this. I wasn't going to do this one, but you know, it's funny where songs can show up and stick with you. You're not necessarily listening to the radio for music or listening to an album or listening to a band or anything, but this is a song that I first heard from a Warner Brothers. I think it was Warner Brothers. Was it like Looney Tunes or one of those? But you remember the Tweety Pie and Sylvester? And there was one where little Tweety Pie was inside in his cage, staying safe from Sylvester the cat, and he was sitting in his little bathtub and scrubbing his back, and really just singing his heart out there. And he was singing this song. Sitting all alone, tearing on a tonsil just like a baritone. I never take a shower, showers are a pain. singing in the showers, like singing in the rain. Well, there's dirt to be abolished, but don't forget one thing. While the body's washed and polished, you better sing, brother, sing. You can yodel opera even when you scrub. Everybody's happy when they're singing in the tub. You know, a ring around the bathtub isn't so nice to see, but a ring around the bathtub, you know that's a rainbow to me. You can yodel opera even when you scrub. Everybody's happy when they're singing in the tub. Yeah, reaching for a towel, ready for a rub. Everybody's happy when they're singing in the tub. Everybody's happy when they're singing in the tub. Everybody's happy when they're singing in the tub. Singing in the tub. Hope you sang along to that one. That was a hit from the 20s as well. Singing in the bathtub. I heard that from Tweety Pie first. God bless Tweety, she can never figure that out. And then I found a recording of it from Robert Crumb, the guy who, a great illustrator, cartoonist, comic artist, guy who created Fritz the Cat and other such great things. And a couple of years ago, he illustrated and did a whole graphic novel version of the complete book of Genesis, which my wife bought me for Christmas one year. Thank you. But he put a band together called the Cheap Suit Serenaders, and they're really good too. But they did a copy of that song, and it was a great version. That's kind of the one that that was my go-to. Anyway, let's head into the 30s, and a name synonymous at that time. Of course, there was a lot of great stars, but this is one that seems to have stood the test of time. It's a great jazz singer, but even outside of jazz, people who've never listened to jazz in their life have heard of Billie Holiday. And this is a song she had a big hit with in the 30s. All of me, why not take all of me? Can't you see I'm no good without you? Take my lips, I'll never use them. Take my arms, I wanna lose them. Yeah, your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How could I go on living without you? 'Cause you took the part that once was my heart. So why not take all of me? All of me, why not say all of me? Yeah, don't you see I'm no good without you? Just take my lips, I'll never use them. gonna lose them. Yeah, your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. Yeah, see, I'm no good without you. 'Cause you took the part that once was my heart. So why not say all of me? Take the rest. I said, why not take all of me? I said, why not take all of me? I said, why not take all of me? All of Me, Billie Holiday. Hope you like that one. You're definitely probably the quietest audience I've ever played to. It's great, really. I don't know how you all fit inside my little phone like that, but God bless you. I'm going to tear on into the 40s with a song that I also got from a cartoon. I guess I just watched a lot of cartoons when I was a kid, maybe. But this was in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. There was this great scene where Tom met up with all his buddies, these back alley cats, in the back alley behind the house. And they all got together and they crowded around some trash cans and dustbins and took the lids off and used them as symbols and created a band, and they sang this song. And it was a song written by Louis Jordan, and it was a big hit for Louis Jordan as well, I think in, I want to say like 1946. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in there. Song called Is You Is. I got a girl who's always late every time that we have a date, but I love her. I gotta ask her. I'm just gonna walk right up to her gate. I just wanna get all of this straight. I gotta ask her. I gotta ask her. Is you, is or is you ain't my baby? The way you're acting lately makes me doubt. Yours is still my baby, baby. Has the flame in your heart done gone out? You know that woman, she's a creature. She has always been strange. Just when I'm sure of one thing, you know she's gone and made a change. Yeah, is you is, or is you ain't my baby. Maybe baby's found somebody new. Or is my baby still my baby true? Is You Is, Louis Jordan. Going to carry on into the 50s, and of course, as we all know, the 50s, musically the 50s started in a very different way to the way they finished at the beginning of the 50s. Nobody knew didn't even know the term rock and roll. And by the end of the 50s, it seems, at least from what I can gather, that's all anybody was talking about. Somewhere in the middle, there was a guy who was regarded as one of the forefathers, one of the great pioneers of rock and roll, a guy from St. Louis, Missouri. Hey, St. Louis. I know there's some of you listening right now. If you've never been to St. Louis, you should go. It's a great city. Guy called Chuck Berry, who pretty much almost wrote the book on the thing. Rock and roll, that is. And this is one of his that I've always liked. When I was a kid, I used to visit my grandmother's, and my aunt had a double album of the greatest hits of Chuck Berry. And on the cover was really cool. It had a old red Cadillac on it. And I don't know if I ever listened to it or not, but I might have just dreamt that I did. But I just thought the record was so cool. But I'm sure this was on it. Long distance information, give me Memphis, Tennessee. Help me find the part who's been trying to contact me. She would not leave a number, but I know who placed the call. My uncle took that message and he wrote it on the wall. Long distance information, get me in touch with my Marie. She's the only one that would call me here from Memphis, Tennessee. She lives right on the south side, high above the ridge, just a half a mile from that Mississippi bridge. Yeah, help me information, more than that I cannot add. I miss her and all the fun we had. We were pulled apart because her mom would not agree. Pulled apart our happy home in Memphis, Tennessee. Information, please. Help me to get through to her in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, help me to get through to her in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, help me to get through to her in Memphis, Tennessee. Chuck Berry, Memphis, Tennessee. Great tune. I always loved the way those rhythm guys, the drummer and the bass on that recording just kind of locked together like they're one instrument. It's incredible. We're going to move along into the 60s. I wasn't there either, not in person, but there was a whole lot of great music came out of there. Let's see, what am I going to play out of the 60s? Well, I might do a couple, or I might just do one. Let's see. Let's do this one. It's from 1966, I believe. From the Motown label. Bet you're wondering how I knew about your plans to make me blue. Some other guy that you knew before. Between the two of us guys, you know I love you more. You took me by surprise, I must say, when I found out yesterday. Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine? Not much longer would you be mine. Honey, I heard it through the grapevine. Yeah, and I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah. And I know a man ain't supposed to cry, but these tears I can't hold inside. Losing you mean my life, you see, 'cause you mean that much to me. Do you plan on letting me go? For that boy says he loves you so. Don't you know that I heard it through the grapevine? Not much longer would you be mine. Honey, I heard it through the grapevine. Yeah, and I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah. Honey, honey, yeah. And they say believe half of what you see. Don't believe none of what you hear. How could I help but be confused? If you're gonna leave, please tell me, dear. Do you plan on letting me go? That you found someone else, but instead I heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer would you be mine. Honey, I heard it through the grapevine. Yes, and I'm just about to lose my mind. Won't you know that I heard it through the grapevine? I'm just about to lose my mind. Yes, you know that I heard it through the grapevine. I'm just about to lose my mind. Honey, honey, yeah. Honey, honey, yeah. Honey, honey, yeah. Honey, honey, yeah. All right, Marvin Gaye. Might hear a bit more from him later, maybe. Anyway, I hope you're all still out there and enjoying yourselves. This is kind of a lunchtime show for a lot of people, so it's kind of truncated. I don't want anybody to, you know, if you got to get back to work, I'm not going to play for hours and hours. I'm just going to run through the century. Keep it a kind of like a... Anyway, we're about halfway through right now. Actually, I think I will do that other Marvin Gaye one. Because this brings us into 1971, where also one thing that kind of happened, at least to my mind, at the end, towards the end of the 60s and onwards, is that like popular music was morphing into like rock and roll at that point. Popular music was not so much just for distraction from the everyday life, but it started becoming a sort of a mirror. People started making social commentary and integrating the music into the things that were happening around them. And that's where like rock and roll sort of took over, or not took over, but it certainly adopted some of the characteristics of folk music in that regard. But, a case in point would be Marvin Gaye's song from 1971, "What's Going On," from the album of the same name, which is a commentary on what was happening in Vietnam and stuff at the time. But a very funky song at the same time. I think I'll give it a shot. It's been forever since I played this, so if I screw it up, I screw it up. brother, far too many of you cry. And brother, 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 there's far too many of you die. Ah, don't you know we've got to find a way just to get some love in here today. And Father, Father, you don't have to escalate. Yeah, war is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. Ah, don't you know we've got to find a way just to get some love in here today. Now picket signs, picket lines, don't you punish me with brutality. Talk to me, yeah, and you'll see what's going on. Woo, what's going on? What's going on? Woo, what's going on? Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, mother, mother, far too many of you crying. Yeah, brother, 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 yeah, there's far too many of you dying. Ah, don't you know we've got to find a way just to get some love in here today. Picket lines, picket signs, don't you punish me with brutality. Talk to me, yeah, you will see. Oh, what's going on? Woo, what's going on? What's going on? Woo, what's going on? Woo-hoo-hoo. Talk to me, and you will see. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Ooh, what's going on? What's going on? Love that tune. And then the 70s progressed, and the whole punk rock and post-punk thing happened. And I remember in like 1978 or so, I think it was 1978 or 79, looking up with the telly, and there was a loud band on singing a song called Hanging on the Telephone with this young blonde woman out front who captured the imagination of many an 8-year-old in the south of Ireland at that time, and probably around the world. I remember that very well. That was the first day of the rest of my life, ladies and gentlemen. And it turns out, as a bonus, the band were really good too. But I'm not going to do Hanging on the Telephone, it's kind of a raucous tune. I'm going to do one that she did. This was a hit for them in 78, 79, I think. I'm going to leave it at that. I once had a love, yeah, it was a gas. Soon turned out, he had a hard glass. Feel that real thing, only to find mutual mistrust, the love's gone behind. I once had a love, yeah, fine. Soon turned out I was losing my mind. Feel like a real thing only to find mutual mistrust, love's gone behind. In between all those pleasant feelings and I'm feeling fine. Love was my illusion, there's no peace of mind. When I feel I'm losing you, it's just no good to treat me like you do. Gas soon turned out to be a pain in the ass. Feel like a real thing only to find mutual mistrust, love's gone behind. In between all those pleasant feelings and I'm feeling fine. Love was my illusion, there's no peace of mind. When I feel I'm losing you, it's just no good to treat me like you do. When I feel I'm losing you, it's just no good to treat me like you do. It was a gas. Soon turned out he had a heart of glass. Blondie, great band. Then the 70s ended, and in 1980, when I grew up, growing up where I was, I still have a great group of friends there, and one of them was a complete David Bowie nut, and his whole family was like a Bowie nut house. And consequently, I ended up hearing an awful lot of David Bowie growing up, and no bad thing. So of course, I'm a lifelong fan. And in 1980, one of the records that really caught me, and it was about, I guess timing is everything, and it was just the right time for me. But that's when David Bowie released his Scary Monsters album, which was just weird and great, and had a guitar player on there called Robert Fripp from King Crimson, who... Robert Fripp, for those of you that don't know, is one of those guitar players that will melt the brain of pretty much any guitar player. And then couple him with the genius of David Bowie to make a record, and only good things can happen, and it did. And this is a song from the record, and it was I think it was the first single, and it was 1980. So this is kind of how the 80s began for me. Such an early song, I heard a rumor from ground control. Oh no, don't say it's true. I got a letter from the action man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I loved all I've needed, love. Saw the details following. The shrieking of nothing is killing. Pictures of Jap girls in sentences. Then I ain't got no money and I ain't got no hair. But I'm hoping to kick up the planet is low, 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 low. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven heavens high, hitting an all-time low. Time and again I tell myself, stay clean tonight, but those little green wheels are following me. Oh no, not again. And I'm stuck with a valuable friend. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. One flash of light, but no smoking pistol. I never done bad things, I never did good things, I never did anything out of the blue. Whoa, whoa. Want an axe to break the ice, wanna come down right now. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky, me no Major Tom's a junkie, strung out in heaven's high, hitting an all-time low. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with a Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with a Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, with a Major Tom. My mama said, to get things done, you better not mess with. You better not mess with. You better not mess with. So that was how the 80s began, for me at least, anyway. And I really should at this point, as we move through the 80s, it's about time, you know, I'll take back my Irish membership card if I don't mention U2 and the effect that they were having, certainly over there, and then of course across the world over time. And in 1988, they, I think that was the year they released Rattle, or sometime around then, they did the Rattle and Hum album, by which time they were really embracing the whole American sound and really exploring the genres of American music. And that's, I think, is that the album that they had B.B. King on for? I don't know, maybe not, I don't know. I think it is, but this is one of those songs that, you know, as Bono used to say, he's not the only one that said about having a red guitar, 3 chords, and the truth. But he used that line when he was playing on top of a building somewhere over here. And this song comes pretty close. It was actually 4 chords, I think, but you know, it's just it's one of those great songs where a lot of very simple parts, but makes a very powerful statement. And it brings us back along to our old friend from the 30s, Billie Holiday. It's a song kind of dedicated to her, called Angel of Harlem. Cold and wet December day, just touched down at JFK. There's snow melting on the ground. BLS, I heard the sound of an angel. New York's like a Christmas tree. Tonight this city belongs to me. Angel. So love, this love won't let me go. So long, angel of Harlem. Birdland's on 53. Street sounds like a symphony. We got John Coltrane and a Love Supreme. Miles, and there's got to be an angel. 80 days got the diamond eyes. She can see the truth behind the lies. Angel, so love this love won't let me go. So long, angel of power. Yeah, in the heart. I said in the heart and soul. Yeah. Blue lights down the avenue. God knows they caught up with you. You got an empty glass and the lady sings. Eyes swollen like a bee sting. Blinded, you lost your way down the side streets and the alleyways. Like a star exploding in the night, filling up the city with your broad daylight. Angels and devil shoes, salvation in the blue. You don't look much like an angel. Angel, angel of Harlem. Angel, yeah, angel of Harlem. Angel. It was 1988, I think, Angel of Harlem. So that brings us to the last decade of the 20th century, ladies and gentlemen, the 90s. And at the beginning of the 90s, I was in a couple of different bands. One, when I was in London, I was in this kind of a post-punk pop type band. That was fun. Then I moved home and joined a sort of a punk rock band. We had fun for a few years, and around that time, everybody was looking up and seeing what was happening over here on the music scene, what was coming out of Seattle with the whole grunge scene, and the West Coast stuff that was coming out. And a lot of it was really interesting and really made us all kind of think. And one of the bands on the West Coast was a band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They kind of exploded with their early albums and a number of songs that just sounded so different and weird and cool at the same time. Flea's bass playing is ridiculous, and they're just great performers. And this is one of the songs that it's always stuck in my brain since then. See if I can do it justice. This is a kind of a tough one. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel my only friend is the city I live in, the city of angels. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I walk through her hills, she's my companion. I walk through her streets and she knows who I am. my good deeds, and she kisses me softly, and I never worry. You know that's a lie. And I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love, take me all the way. I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love, take me all the way. It's hard to believe that there's nobody out there. It's hard to believe that I'm all alone. At least I have her love. The city, she loves me. Lonely as I am, together we cry. I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love, take me all the way. I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place I love, take me all the way. Under the bridge downtown, that's where I drew some blood. Under the bridge downtown, out there and getting up. Under the bridge downtown, I forgot my love. Under the bridge downtown, I gave my life away. Or something like that. So we came all the way around. We're going to get to the last song of this century show, that is. And I'm going to tie it up in a nice little bow, because we started with a song called Shine On Harvest Moon. And let's finish up with a song called Harvest Moon, from a guy who spanned most of the second half of the 20th century in his career, Neil Young. And let's see if this one works out. I don't play this one very often, so thanks for joining me, and let's do this again sometime. There's a lot more in the 20th century. Obviously, I'm going to have to do maybe a part 2 and a part 3 or something at some point. Anyway, sing along with this one. Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. It's like children sleeping, we could dream the night away. There's a full moon rising, we could dance into the light. We know where the music's playing, we could feel into the night. Because I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dancing Yeah, I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. When we were strangers, I watched you from afar. When we were lovers, I loved you with all my heart. But it's getting late and the moon is rising high. I wanna celebrate, see the moonlight in your eyes. Because I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dancing again. Yeah, I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. Yeah, I'm still in love with you, I wanna see you dance again. Yes, I'm still in love with you. Let's hear you singing. Lovely. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's do this again sometime. This was fun. See you all later.